Let's talk about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow in my DC cinematic universe. We are catching up with Kara Zor-El, who is in a horrible depressive episode. She is curled up in the Fortress of Solitude, watching old home videos, and basically just surfing the saved copy of the Kryptonian internet that the Zor-El AI had made before shooting the baby Cal off to Earth. This is the first time she's actually got to sit down and be calm since she really got to Earth, because she landed there, and then it was the crisis. Everything was going crazy, guys. And she's really depressed because she lost everyone. Everyone and everything. Her entire culture, all of her friends, all of her family, dead. And as Kara is one day depressively watching old Kryptonian documentaries, she watches one about the lost colony ship, the Argo. 500 years ago, Kryptonian scientists sent basically a colony ship, thousands of Kryptonians, off in another direction to go make another planet to live on. But it was lost. It was believed destroyed, and so the Kryptonians could never find it. They never got any word back from it. They just believed it was a horrible tragedy. But Kara decides to go looking for it. She speaks with the rest of the Justice League and the Kents, and they all agree that this is something she should go do. Cyborg hands her a Mother Box beacon, just like he'd given Starfire earlier, and she heads off into space. But she's paired with the Lantern Corps, because she can't just fly off through space. Cyborg boom tubes her to Oa, and she is partnered with none other than Sodam Yat. And Sodam Yat reveals he is from the planet Daxam, and actually another offshoot of ancient Kryptonians who flew through space formed and colonized Daxam, and he believes that those people were from the Argo. And it turns out that there was a coup on the Argo a couple decades into their centuries-long journey. And a whole bunch of the people left in escape pods, and they formed Daxam. And so that's why the Daxamites are very similar to Kryptonians. They are partially Kryptonian from a couple hundred years ago. And so Sodam Yat and Kara work together to go try and find their lost cousins, essentially. Yat escorts Kara because this sector of space has red sunlight, so she'd be more or less powerless without him there. So, he puts a bubble around her and they fly through space, and they retrace the path of the Argo, and they eventually find a planet where the Argo landed. They land there and find the Argo itself ruined. It looks like centuries ago it was hit by a meteor shower, or just meteors flying through space, and it had lost most of its stuff. The cargo hole was blown open and their technology flew out. Critical systems were damaged. They had to land on the planet that they were the closest to, not the one that they were heading to. And they started a civilization there. But because all of their cool terraforming technology was lost with that cargo hole explosion, the people of the Argo had to start from scratch. And so over the last couple hundred years, they've gotten to more or less Bronze Age technology. Finding this, Kara very excitedly activates the Mother Box beacon, programming it to that planet. But as they investigate, they find the planet's empty. It looks like this kingdom that had formed, this civilization, had all been attacked and abducted, because there were no bodies to be found. Kara and Sodam investigate this further, and they find some armor. Sodam analyzes the armor and finds that it's not very old armor, it's very recent, and this armor is from Warworld. As we remember from an earlier season of the Green Lantern Corps show, Guy Gardner fought Mongul on Warworld, but Mongul then went back to Oa and destroyed their central power battery, beginning the Great Depowering, and then the crisis happened. Warworld itself was never stopped, and it's still out there. So Kara and Sodam go track down Warworld, and they find that it has been taken over by Mongul the 1792nd. Other Mongul, the one that got vaporized, that dude's son. He's in charge now, and he is smarter and crueler than his father. Knowing that the Lantern Corps would be coming after them after his dad dipped, this dude redirected Warworld and has been on the run, covertly collecting more slaves for their gladiator fights. Having managed to find the on-the-run Warworld, Sodam messages the Lantern Corps, letting him know where he is and that Warworld is there. But Kara rushes in, realizing that surviving Kryptonians are on this planet. He rushes in after her, and both of them are stopped by Mongul. It's been about a week under the light of a red sun, but Kara has been using her powers sparingly and been protected by the Green Lantern ring. But Kara is weakened, so she tries to fight Mongul, and he just slaps her into the ground as if she was nothing. And then Sodam Yat comes in trying to stop this guy, and something terrifying happens. Sodam is blasted back by a massive yellow blast. And we find out that Mongul's son, Mongul, has a yellow ring. He has been so overly cruel to the civilizations he has attacked and captured as slaves in this Warworld. He has them all so scared that he earned a yellow ring made from pure fear. Mongul defeats Sodam Yat, ripping the ring from his finger and trapping it in a container so that Sodam cannot summon his own ring. Sodam and Kara are then thrown into the slave pits to become gladiators. Now, unlike his father, 1791, winning matches no longer earns you freedom. Instead, winning matches in this world is how you get food. You have to fight to live in this world. The old Warworld had like maybe 30% of its population were gladiator slaves. On this one, it's 90%, and only the top 10% of the people of this planet work directly for Mongul. Everyone else is a slave. Kara and Sodam are thrown into a cage and luckily are still able to communicate, because even though Sodam lost his ring and therefore his universal translator, Daxamese and Kryptonian, very, very similar root language. So they manage to communicate. But while they're talking, they're approached by another prisoner, also speaking Kryptonian, and her name is Thao-La. And so Kara gets to meet a surviving Kryptonian who identifies herself as a Philosian. That is what the people of the Argo came to start calling themselves all these centuries later. They're Philosians. And they are all there trapped by Mongul. Older Philosians approach Kara and point at her chest to the super logo on it, and they laugh at her for wearing a shirt that says hope, because hope is the first thing to die here. The very next day, Kara and Sodam are forced into the arena for their very first fight. They win because they still have a little bit of superpowers. And as Mongul motions for Kara to kill her opponent, she throws her weapons down, refusing to kill her opponent. They are kicked out of the arena and not given any food for the day, and Kara is mocked, being called by the audience an unbloodied blade. Later that night, Kara and Thao-La are talking and kind of flirting with each other, to which Sodam Yat is watching and smirking, being like, oh, these two. However, the next day, Sodam and Kara are brought out for manual labor. You see, all of the slaves have to alternate their duties throughout the week, and so now they're on mining duty. And Kara is approached by an old man named Creel Ooks. Creel used to be a farmer back on Philosia, but he has become the most deadly gladiator the Philosians have after witnessing the death of his wife and family as they were killed by Tharos, one of Mongul's champions. Creel is there to ask Kara and Sodam how they were able to do the things that they did in the fight the other night, and they tell him that Philosians, Daxamites, Kryptonians are all superpowered under the light of a yellow sun. But because there is no yellow sun here, they are running out of juice. The next day, Kara, Sodam, and Thao are all sent into the gladiator arena again, and we see that Creel and a couple other Philosians were sent with. This time, they are all paired against a giant evil monster, like horrible, probably tentacle-y thing, I don't know, just some big monster, right? And Mongul wants her to kill it again, but this time, Kara uses her heat vision to scare the beast back into its cage and slam the thing shut, saving the lives of all of the Philosians out on the arena with her. And this gets cheers from the crowd, which really pisses off Mongul. Mongul punishes her for her cowardice, but as a little reward, decides to throw her and all of the rest of the Philosians in the same pit so they can suffer together. In this new amalgamated pit, Kara gets to meet even more Philosians, including 2 children who approach her named Othu and Osul Ra, who have made a sort of little doll out of rock that they've just sort of been carving at, and it's supposed to basically be Kara. Kara smiles at this, and using the last bit of her heat vision, she carves a proper House of El symbol into the chest of the doll. And the kids are giddy and run away cheering with it because they're like, oh boy, we got our cool toy. We then get more montages of more fights every single time, Kara refusing to kill and being deprived of food. And then eventually during one of these fights during the montage, an enemy sword passes past her head. She just barely manages to dodge it, and it cuts her hair. And she realizes that means her invulnerability is basically gone, and Kara has to start fighting way smarter. But she wins her fights. She refuses to kill, and the crowds get really hyped about the unbloodied blade, which is now a title of compliment instead of an insult like it was the first time. But now back in the pits, Kara is starting to feel hunger pains. She is feeling weaker because her powers are basically completely drained. And Kryl begins admonishing her, asking why she is fighting this hard but refusing to kill enemies. She's hurting basically no one but herself with this. And Kara says that she can't stop fighting this way because she isn't trying to win for victory. She isn't trying to win for herself. She is trying to fight for a better tomorrow. And the Philosians all sort of look around and think to themselves, a better tomorrow. The next day, we see that many of the Philosians that heard Kara say that have managed to fashion rudimentary House of El symbols that they are now wearing because they feel hope for a better tomorrow. Kara has given them that. But we see Kara is chosen to fight again, but this time alone, with no one else. She approaches the battlefield and she finds the unmade. It is this horrible monster, but we, the audience, would recognize who this actually was from the previous season of the Green Lantern series. This is Mongul, the original Mongul's sister, this Mongul's aunt. We find out that she tried to become the leader of Warworld after her brother disappeared, but her nephew took over and brutalized her, cutting off her arm and infusing a blade to it, bolting a helmet to her head, and partially lobotomizing her, showing everyone he is not to be messed with, and turning his aunt into literally just a monster. And so the unmade attacks Kara, but Kara refuses to kill her. As the fight is going on, Kara is just barely managing to dodge against the Unmade's attacks, and Mongul is taunting her, saying there is nothing left in his aunt's head except the fight. But Kara refuses to listen to him, and summoning all of the strength that she has left, she hugs the Unmade. She holds her tight, pinning her in this big bear hug. The Unmade struggles, but then stops and begins to cry. The Unmade falls to her knees, weeping, as Kara just holds her and now lets go of the big bear hug and just hugs her normally, comforting this horribly in pain being. Witnessing this happen, all of the Philosians begin to chant, "For a better tomorrow! For a better tomorrow!" And eventually the rest of the crowd gets in on it, and Mongul is furious because he was just going to kill Kara if this kind of thing happened, but with this many people chanting, now he knows that if he kills her, she will just become a martyr. So Mongul has to plan how to humiliate Kara. And as he's wondering how to do that, he turns asking, "Do you have any ideas?" And we see Kryl Ooks standing behind him saying, "I'm sure I can think of some." Back in the pits, Kara has managed to inspire so much hope amongst the people that they are willing to join her in a rebellion against Mongul. And Kara's mother was a general in the military guild, so Kara actually has formal military strategy training, and she begins planning a coup. But as she does, Kryl shows up and screams at her, saying that she has grown too obsessed with finding the group of surviving Kryptonians, and that if her plan fails, it could lead to the entire extermination of their race. She is a child. She is naive. This is a bad idea. And many of the older Philosians agree and side with Creel. They refuse to take part in this rebellion. But the younger ones in Kara decide to move on with it. And later we see Creel and his men go back to Mongul and give Mongul a piece of information that this coup is happening, and Kara has a weakness. A specific type of sunlight makes her weaker. And Mongul grins. The morning of the rebellion, the mining shift begin their attack. They're going to attack their guards and begin freeing everyone else. But when they go to do so, all of their guards are gone. Kara and all of the people planning this rebellion begin realizing everything is gone and doors are locked, funneling them into the arena. Entering the arena, Kara sees something horrible. All of the Philosian children and elders who had sided with her are on their knees prepared for execution. And Mongul is standing there reiterating that trying to overthrow him is pointless. And now she will get to watch as he kills all of her people. He then nods to Creel, and we see Kara look up and see Creel, and we see the look of betrayal in her eyes. Mongul laughs as Creel pulls a lever, and we see the roof of the arena open up, revealing sunlight. The sky glows red as we see a planet and the sun rising beyond its horizon. And so just as the axes of the executioners are being swung down towards the Philosian children's necks, the axes shatter on their necks. The sun breaks from beyond the horizon, and we see that this isn't a red sun. It's a yellow sun. Mongul realizes that Creel Ux betrayed him. Kara, Sodam, and the rest of the Philosians, now slightly empowered by the light of the yellow sun, break out of their chains and begin fighting against Mongul's men. But Mongul's men are all still very strong, and Mongul himself is very strong. It'll take a little bit more than just a couple minutes of yellow sunlight irradiation for these people to stand a chance. So the fight looks like it's going good, but then takes a pretty bad turn. Kara herself leaps at Mongul, attacking him and screaming out, "For a better tomorrow." And then Thao yells out, "For a better tomorrow." All of the people chant out, "For a better tomorrow." But they're still being killed, left and right. Kara is fighting against Mongul, just managing to miss his swings of attacks because he is coming at her with fists. But the people see this. The people see her powerless, standing against Mongul still. Mongul pulls back for a punch with his ringed hand, and as he swings at Kara, she swings up at him, her fist connecting with him, and he goes flying back as we hear a ping. Mongul catches himself mid-air and turns back to Kara, and we see her looking at her own hand because glowing on her middle finger is a blue ring, a ring of hope. Sodam cheers because he knows how powerful blue lanterns can be. And we see this ring begin emanating blue energy throughout Kara's body, and it is recharging her solar cells rapidly. And then new clothes begin to form over Kara. Her wounds begin to heal with the light of a blue ring, and Kara is no longer just the Supergirl. Kara is wearing a white and blue Power Girl suit. Only it's gonna be an S over the boob window and then a red cape. But basically this. Pants, blue boots, blue gloves, a lot of blue, because blue lanterns, but S over the boob window, red cape, short hair, Power Girl, baby. Kara then raises her fist into the air and uses the ring to conjure the light of a blue sun, which in my cinematic universe just rapidly recharges Kryptonian solar cells. And now suddenly, every single Philosian, Sodam, Yat, Creel Ux, everyone there is fully charged. Full-blown, super-powered Kryptonian levels. And the fight rapidly twists the other way, and the Philosians wipe the floor with Mongul's men. Kara and Mongul get into one big final awesome fight, and she rips the yellow ring from his hand, and then using her heat vision powered by the blue ring, so probably like blue heat vision, maybe purple, I don't know, she zaps the yellow ring and shatters it. Mongul is defeated. The good guys win and the bad guys lose. But during this, many Philosians and non-Philosians, even just other rebels who joined them, were severely wounded. And Kara is looking at this so sad because so many people got injured and will die because of this. But then Sodam runs up to her and he goes, "No, Kara, the blue ring can heal people." And so Kara flies around healing everyone. Good guys and bad guys alike. The bad guys thrown in cells, the good guys completely healed. Kara then flies all around the world, freeing all of the slaves of Warworld and imprisoning all of the former slavers of Warworld. And then she goes to the unmade. She removes the armor and she heals Mongul. Mongul cries and she pulls Kara in for a huge hug and she bends the knee to Kara, swearing to be her right hand. So now Kara and Mongul is gonna be following Kara around all the time. She is her gal Friday. She is her best friend. She is her ride or die. She is with her. Mongul! Sodam Yat then recovers his ring and calls the Lantern Corps, and we see the Lantern Corps, the Thanagarian Empire, and the United Planets arrive to help relocate all of the slaves of Warworld. All of the people, millions of them, returned back to their homes. As this is happening, they realize that Mongul himself is nowhere to be found. And then we see Mongul and Tharos, his right-hand man, running off to an escape shuttle. But before they get there, all of Mongul's loyal guards are chopped in half by heat vision. And we see the older Philosians led by Kryl descend on Mongul and his men. Mongul begs for his life, but Kryl just actually ignores him, walks past him to Tharos, and asks if he remembers what he did to his family. And then he pops Tharos' head like fucking Omni-Man did to Red Rush. This dude don't mess around. And then as they turn to leave, Mongul asks, "What about me?" And he turns around and says, "You mean nothing to me." And with just an instant zip of his heat vision, just pierces Mongul right through the heart, instantly killing him without a second thought. No big deal. Mongul meant nothing to this man. He wanted revenge for his wife and children. The United Planets informs the Philosians that there is no planet willing to offer them sanctuary as long as they are under the light of a yellow sun. And so the Philosians agreed to return to their planet, the one that the Argo had landed on, and they would deem it New Krypton. But Kryl and the older Philosians don't accept this. And instead, while the other Philosians are being dropped off on New Krypton, Kryl and his men steal Warworld and vanish. Now back on Philosia with the new Kryptonians, Kara opens up a boom tube back to Earth, and using technology from the Fortress of Solitude, she's able to catch these guys back up to the level of technology they should have had this whole time. We get a montage of Kara flying around the planet, planting new crystal structures, and in a matter of months, the planet is terraformed and there is a brand new city, and they deem it Argo City. And there is now a new thriving Kryptonian colony on this planet. The people of Philosia cheer with their new planet, and Kara brings the Kents to come visit. Clark has to wear a spacesuit because he would totally die if he ever touched a red sun because of the anti-life whole thing from Crisis. But the Kents, Superman, Connor, they all get to see Krypton reborn, and Kara is the one who made it possible. And that is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, in my DC Cinematic Universe.